Kelly, did you speak to Audley before he retired again?
Do you know what? I could actually, on my telephone, Audley sent me a very lovely message last night about coming here, and has offered to help with any knowledge that he could help with Gary. He's willing to help, and I think the message was really nice that he sent me last night, and very much appreciated.
Did you try and get him to, before he retired, to come with you though?
No. Because I never thought about coming back to boxing until I met with these two gentlemen.
Kelly, you mentioned the gender issue and the kind of mandatory political correctness these days, which means some people might not hear views which they secretly hold. While this is not my view as I sit before you today, you're bright enough to realise that some people still believe that the radical new lifestyle choice is a marketing ploy to relaunch what was formerly an alien career.
Okay, well let me say, if the persons who think that want to go through what I've been through, they're welcome to try it. And let them walk in my shoes and see how hard it was. And if it is a marketing ploy, I really need to be locked up in a lunatic asylum.
I certainly don't think that.
No, I should be locked up in a lunatic asylum.
The other British promoters, are they aware that you're coming back, and the ones with television deals, and do you think you'll be able to work with them?
I'm going to work with anybody. I'm going to work for what's the benefit. What's happened now is promoters and managers do not work for the benefit of their fighters. I'm a very old school boxing person, so is Tommy. Yeah. We are going to work for the benefit of our fighters. If Frank Warren put a deal on the table and it was beneficial, if Eddie Hearns put a deal on the table and it suited us, it's beneficial. If the Sowlands put a deal on the table, if Kathy Duver put a deal on the table, if Tommy and I can bring up a better deal, we're going to do that. We're going to go back to boxing as it traditionally was. We're not here to produce to line promoters' pockets, or you know, a fighter can't become a champion in a quick period. It's a learning period. They must serve an apprenticeship if they're going to become a real world champion.
Have you spoken to any of those gentlemen?
Can I just butt in here? You know, what's got to be made absolutely clear here is I've been over 40 years as a licence holder. None of my fighters has ever been signed to anybody bar me. I've managed them, we've worked with various promoters, and that will not change in the future. Everything that I do, I'll be doing it for Gary and for the other 14 fighters that I manage. You know, we'll work with Kelly, but we will also leave. This isn't a closed shop. This is no an exclusive deal with that. Kelly, with the knowledge through the last 20 odd years that he gathered for the benefit of heavyweights, that's the knowledge that I'm picking into, because we've openly admitted that, you know, I've had 7 world champions, but I've never had anybody that's 6'7" and 18 stone. All my champions came at lightweight, bantamweight, welterweight. Have I ever went above that? No, because Scotland don't breed them. We bred small men. So I needed somebody's knowledge that I could tap into, that knew much more about the heavyweight scene than what I did. I know how to manage fighters, know how to manage darts players. You know, you know, in both sides, to manage the world champion darts player, it'd be nice to get the world champion heavyweight. You know, so I've got every ambition still to be a success even at this stage of my career, but I still need a wee bit of help and assistance along the road. But at the end of the day, the final decisions will lie with me on behalf of Gary, but we will work very closely with Kelly, because as Frank came in and supported us, put us on the shows at Liverpool Stadium, put us in the shows at Rainton Meadow, and that's why we've done it. But if any other promoter wants to use it, because Gary's also boxed in Frank Warren's shows, you know, and successfully down at the Copper Box. So there's no problem. It's got to be whatever is in the best interest solely of the boxer, not of any of the individuals that's sitting here with a suit on.
Kelly, boxers are famous for trash talking running up to fights. If you do encounter a boxer, an opponent, one of your fighters who makes an issue of your gender, how will you deal with that? And can I also address that question to the boxers?
Until that situation arises, I can't really comment on that. You know, I've been guilty of encouraging boxers to talk trash talk. If it sells a ticket, I might have to do it again. The good thing is we're going to bring a bit of fun back to boxing promotion, because there are no old school boxing promoters out there, and you know, though I look a lot younger now than I did when I was Frank, I do feel that we need a bit of fun out there. You know, there are no good promoters out there no more. They're just TV promoters out there.
I believe one of your former world champions got his autobiography coming out next week, Paul Ingle, and you've been lending support in the last year with the by way of writing forward, and I believe you're also lending support in the coming weeks as well. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, Paul Ingle's autobiography, I mean, there's a young fighter I took from a very early age, the same age as Tony, straight from the ABAs, and he went on to win the world title. Unfortunately, there was a tragedy towards the end of his career. I'm really pleased to see that his autobiography is coming out, I think it's next week, and there's a benefit night for him on the 15th of May in Scarborough, and I am going to go up there and do a speech on his behalf and for him, because you know, he was a great fighter, Paul, and it was just a tragedy that happened, and that again, that shows you there is no aftercare for boxers. You know, these are things I want to address as well. You know, I think it's time. I didn't want to get political, but I might say it's time the British Boxing Board came into the 21st century and woke up to some new ideas.
Kelly, you just mentioned that there are no old school promoters anymore. You used to be part of the hierarchy, and you've worked with Frank Warren, Gary Hearn and the like. I'd be interested to get your take based on what you just said about Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and the Graham monopoly.
I haven't said anything about Eddie Hearns or Matchroom. All I said is there are TV promoters out there now, and they don't develop fighters right. I have not mentioned any individual.
Could you expand on what you think about the way fighters are promoted now then?
Well, I just think fighters are not able to learn their trade. I was taught by the late Mickey Duff. First time I met Mickey Duff was actually in this restaurant, and Mike Barrett and Jarvis Astaire. They had a great way of developing boxers, and you know, I want to sort of do that again. Nowadays, I think fighters are. All I'm going to say is I think fighters are pushed too quick and too soon because TV calls the shots. The promoters and managers do not call the shots.
What do you make of UKIP's general election campaign, and are you confident of success?
This is not I am not a UKIP member. I'm not here as a political person. I'm more interested in the boxing promotions. I'm not even sure who I'm going to vote for myself.
Kelly, you said that you're going to bring fun back in the boxing, or make boxing more fun. How will you do that?
Just by being myself, by chatting to people, by being honest, and not being so serious, and you know, not being dictated to by anybody.
You would have done that as Frank?
Yeah, I did. I think Frank brought a lot of fun in boxing promotion. I think he was the funniest promoter out there. He never took himself too serious, and I think, you know, hopefully I will take myself in the right direction and do what's good for boxing. You know, it's a great sport, and I want to see it back on the back pages of newspapers and hopefully back on terrestrial television.
Also, you said it's going to be a bigger challenge now as a female than it was when you're Frank. Can you elaborate why?
Yeah, well, it's a very personal thing now. You know, as I said, I gained a lot of respect as Frank. I gained a lot of friends. I gained a lot of enemies. You know, and I was at the very top of the chain when I walked away from it. I'm coming back. No one's opening their arms and doing me any favours. There's no television company knocking on my door saying, "Oh, guess what, Kelly? We'd like to promote your fighters." So that's what it's a very big challenge and a very personal challenge, because I want to prove I'm capable of doing it, and if I do that, it opens up the door for maybe more females to come into boxing.
I think the great thing here is that Tommy Pratt's coming in with Southwark Metals again, and that's the great attraction, that, you know, knowing that there's no television to back his involvement in the game, you know, but to have somebody like that who has obviously got a great love of the sport, and when I was approached for Tommy to get involved in promoting and putting money into the progression of Gary, you know, that's what we need in trying to to make sure that every time that the boys fight, that they fill the halls and hoping to create the situation, but without having to worry too much about the box office drawings, you know, because Tommy's going to come in and help to make that a wee bit easier.
But deals with TV enable you to pay your boxers more.
Oh my! I hear that everything will come, but that I mean, I've already had talks, you know, about the possibility of an Anthony Joshua fight. And, I mean, we're talking a lot of money here, but it's only worth a lot of money as long as the both of them carry zeros. And that's my job as his manager, to make sure that we move him up and get the proper ranking for him, because that's these fights. You know, when they're made, then they get made for a lot of money in the television and so forth will get involved.
But Pat, answer your question. There's not a lot of fighters on TV today. You know, it's like a chainsaw at the moment. It's a conveyor belt at the moment. If one fighter just say I put Tony on TV and then he got beat, TV say find someone else. They're not getting a chance to develop their career. So what I'm going to do is to develop their career. When they're ready, if you've got the right fighter, you know TV will knock on your door. Don't worry about any contracts they got with anyone else. If you've got the right fighter, and I've proven it before, they'll come and knock on your door, and you'll get a deal.
I think it boils down to the boxers here. You know, the boxers keep winning. Gary and Tony keep winning, and obviously, you know, Kelly and Tommy get the right fight. Once they win, you know, if Gary boxes Anthony Joshua beats him, for instance, they're going to come knocking on the door then, because they don't want to follow Anthony Joshua. They want to follow Gary. And that's what happens if Tony keeps winning. They're going to want to follow Tony. As Kelly just said, it doesn't matter about contracts. It matters about the boxers keep winning. They keep winning. Keep getting a fight. If Tony gets a British title shot, say 12 months, 18 months down the line, and wins it. They're not going to follow a British champion. They're not going to follow a British champion.
I mean, look at Audley Harrison. Once he lost, he was just dumped. He became a bit player. You know, if you go through the fighters that have gone on this conveyor belt, there's quite a lot missing, and a lot now being used as opponents, and a lot just being used to make up television cards.
But in Gary's case, it's always been from the very beginning. He only had 9 amateur fights, so there is no point in rushing him. He's got to serve an apprenticeship, and if he can do that apprenticeship away from the glare is going to come from now on, because he's now got to step up to the mark on the 23rd of May. You know, and then as we start, then we're going to find out, can he really fight? He's had the 29 fights in his whole career, amateur and professional. Guys, there's a young lad sitting there. He's had 35 amateur fights. He's had 9. So I've been given the opportunity that I could mould him as I seen fit and got him to this stage. Now I've got to let the leash off. You know, it's no down to me how good a bad a manager I am now. Down to him how good a fighter he is. And if we can create the opportunities, then let the cream rise to the top.
Kelly, has your promotional company got a name? What are you calling yourself?
Kellie Maloney. That's it. You know, just keep it nice and simple. Plus, that's the only thing I could spell, really.
Will your fighters be based in London? Will they train in London, or is there like a
No. Well, no. Obviously, with Tommy, we're talking. I mean, I'd like to see Gary go to the States, which we're talking about, to work with, because that's good.
Part of the experience.
Part of the experience. With Tony, with Brian, they train in the Midlands, but yeah, they will travel around for sparring. You know, I'm not looking to sign a big stable of fighters. I don't want to put myself under the pressure that I was under as Frank Maloney. I'm looking to work with probably no more than 4 or 5 fighters, and that will, because you can't. I don't believe you can look after a massive stable, and I know that through previous experience, because fighters need attention. They are very demanding, and you need to be there for them. You know, it does become a conveyor belt once you start going beyond a certain amount of fighters, and you just sit here, do a deal today. So you lost, and they know you move on to the next one. They're still there somewhere, but they go down the pecking order. It's bad the way they're treated, I think.
Kelly, with what you just said in mind, will there be any further announcements of further fighters in the coming weeks?
No, because I'm not out there looking for fighters. If someone special comes in, I mean, with the help of Tommy Pratt from Southwark Metals and Neil Sibley, we have sat down and we've talked about actually doing a a scholarship for the right fighter. Tommy would love to find a heavyweight to work with. That's why he was interested when I approached him working with Tommy and Gary. But he has said it doesn't necessarily have to be a British heavyweight. It could be a heavyweight from Ghana, could be a heavyweight from India, and we have sort of got people out there now looking at situations. And if the right fighter comes along, he will be offered a very unique scholarship funded by Southwark Metals.
Could you explain a little bit more on what the scholarship would do?
No, we'll keep it till we find the right fighter.
Can we ask Gary and Tony what made Kelly a natural choice for you as a promoter?
Obviously, just listening to what Tommy had to say, and he's proved before that he's got the knowledge when he was frank, so just have to go along with that.
Yeah, it's the same as me really. I put trust into my trainer Brian, who I've been training alongside for nearly 10 years, and he's told me a lot about Frank in the past, and that he'd love the opportunity for me to sign years back, and that's why I've been really pushing for this opportunity. When I found out Kelly wanted to come back into boxing, and I've stopped nagging her since really, and that's it. That's the only thing we think of.
And you know, as it's a very personal journey for me, I know I've got to deliver to these two fighters. That's why it is a very personal journey, because I've got to prove myself all over again, and that's really, and that's my motivation. The money, everything else, it's proving myself all over again that I can do it, and that I think that will prolong my life quite a few years. So you lot might have to suffer me for a long time. If that's, well, that was a long press conference. Thank you very much.